it's Lisa. I have obviously a lot of photos to work with today. This is a continuation from this 2-page spread that I did the other day with 12 photos and some stenciled areas. It didn't have any journaling on it because I decided to do some additional pages to go with this layout. I had planned all along to do one pocket page to go with it. This 9 photo pocket page. So I was going to have photos on both sides of this. They're 4 inches square, and that was what I was going to do with in addition to the 2-page layout. But I realized that I needed more room for journaling. So I decided to add another full 12-pager. And what I'm actually going to do is use the back side of this page and go ahead and use this cardstock as my base. I don't really do that very much these days. I just do a separate sheet and put it in the page protector, and then I could split them up or add another page in if I want to. I don't see that happening this time, and I don't have any more of this particular color cardstock. It's Stampin' Up's Pistachio Pudding, which is an in color. I think it's still a current in color. However, the way they do their end colors, you can't buy, well, most of their papers now, you can't buy a pack of 12 by 12 of a single color. There are a few that you can, but most of them you have to buy them in a group. So at this point, I don't have that paper, and I'm probably not going to have it anytime soon, although I do really love this color. So I want to use this as a base, but I'm going to cover a lot of it with some other things. I have my photos here, and I don't know why I had in my head when I was planning my photos and doing my cropping and all that I needed 12 photos when I really needed 18 if I was going to fill up the whole thing. So I did 12. That's good because that gives me some extra little squares that I can do some more interesting things with and add some journaling to. But it also means that I'm actually going to have even more extra ones because I want to take a couple of these photos, ones that have us in them, and put them in that one solid page. So let's go ahead and take this, and it's going to be the back. I will crop the rest of these photos down and put in that 12 by 12, and then these two are going to go on this page. And I want to continue this circle design. What I thought would be neat is to have a big circle and make a pocket for my memorabilia and maybe some journaling if I need the additional room. However, I don't have this particular stencil, this Rosetta stencil, in the 12 by 12. It comes that size, but I just don't have it. So I do have another Crafter's Workshop stencil that I think will go really well, and that's this one. And when I pulled it out, I realized it has this square design, and I think I can incorporate that along with my 2 square photos, even though they're not the same size. So I'm going to be using this and this background, but I want to use this on the pocket part. So I need another large piece of paper. Now, where that leads me to is what other papers I'm going to use with the layout. So, really before I even got to this particular stencil, I took the photos and I spread them out here, and I went looking for paper, and I didn't have to look long to find some that I really liked. This is Basic Gray's Herbs and Honey collection. We went on this garden to tour this garden in September, so it wasn't quite fall, but it was getting very close to fall when we went. And I think the colors from this collection go really well with the time of the year and with a lot of the colors in the photos. I mean, there's a lot of colors here. I could pull out more pinks and obviously more green, but I've already done a lot with the green, so I think I'd like to get some additional color in there. So I've got some pinks, I've got some reds here, and I've got a lot of gold with this collection, and that goes with quite a few of the photos as well. So these little 6 by 6s are going to be cut down for some of those extra 4 by 4 squares that I need. Then the facing page, that's this green background, I need something for that pocket. I have this paper, which is also from the collection. It was a 12 by 12 that I used on another layout, and I cut the middle out, and so I have this part that I hadn't used. So I could use that. I think what I will use it for is a band or part of a band. So you'll see that a little bit later on. I don't think I want to use it for a large part of the background because it is a little bit busier, but I do like the color. It goes really well with everything. What I need though, I think, is a piece of cardstock or some pattern paper that has very little design on it to do some stenciling. I wish I had kind of an all over, a lot of basic gray papers have this sort of just general texture kind of to them. Unfortunately, I don't think I have one. I'm going to go back and look at my stash again and see if I have anything in either, in a light color, in either pink or gold. I think we've done enough with the green at this point, and see if I can find something. If not, I will use the cardstock, and we're going to do some stenciling on this to create our pocket. I trimmed down all of my photos to 4x4 to go in those pockets, and I'm deciding which ones that I want to go on the facing page for this other page that I'm regular 12x12 I'm creating, and then the ones that are going to go on the back side. I've found with pocket pages like this, it's better for me to go ahead and use both sides at one time. If I leave them in my album with only one side done, the other side just doesn't seem to get anything. It doesn't ever seem to quite go with the next layouts in the group. So that's just what has worked for me, since I don't use a lot of pocket pages, but I do find them valuable, especially for things like this where I had quite a few photos, and I may go back and even print another photo or two since I realize I have a few more pockets than I thought, especially for that back side. So I'm getting those organized, and I also find that it's easier to just go ahead and stick them in the pockets. I know they don't show up quite as good on the video, but I think you can still see them pretty well. Now we need to pick a color background here. I did look at my stash of papers, and I have one paper that was a possibility, this one, but it's a little busy and you're not going to see a whole lot of that background. I was surprised when I laid this out that the yellow looked so much better than the pink. So I'm going to use the yellow, and it goes with a lot of the different colors in the photos, and then I'm just kind of deciding how I want to go about doing this. I need to mark where the stencil is going to go. In reality, this marking step I could have probably left out, and I could have just gone ahead and put some tape down here, because what I end up doing is just moving the whole thing out of the way and taping it onto some background paper anyway. But in the meantime, I am testing the color. I have a couple of artist paints. You could use craft paint, but I happen to have a gold that I thought was pretty good that needed just a little bit of orange to it, so I'm adding a couple of different orange tones, or excuse me, a couple of different amounts of orange, one time with just a tiny dot and another time with a little bit more, and I realized that I got a little too much orange on that second one, and I probably want to go somewhere in between that. The orange I'm using is a golden paint, a fluid paint that has a lot of pigment to it, so it takes very little of that to add color. Those are expensive, but they go a long, long way. So I'm going to add some more of that gold Academy acrylic paint that I get at Hobby Lobby. It's one of my favorite kinds of paints. It doesn't come in a ton of colors, but I have a few of them. Alright, and now I'm going to go ahead and put all this back together here. And I had the marks where I indicated that I wanted my stencil to lay on so I can know how far over on the paper it needed to go. And I'm just going to put some washi tape down where I know it will get covered up with photos. And I'm using what should be a stiff bristle brush. It's not. It's a brush that hasn't been used that much, and it's still kind of soft, and I'm getting a lot of paint on the stencil. That's not bad. It's not really going underneath the design. It's still sitting in the open areas where it needs to, but it's a little heavy for me. So I switched to a stippling brush that I got in the scrapbooking section at Hobby Lobby. They have some more options there for mixed media, and they had those brushes. So I've got a nice variation here in color. You'll see it close up here in a few moments. That is a little bit heavier paint and then a little bit lighter paint, and it gives it almost a Tuscan kind of look to it. I thought it was really pretty. Now I'm just marking a 1/2 inch from the edge of the circle because I don't have a circle cutter that's that large. Unless I had cut this ahead of time on the silhouette, which wouldn't have been a bad idea, I really didn't have a way to cut this out other than just scissors. And there is my pocket. It'll go on the back side of the screen, and then I can put a band there with my photos and have plenty of places to put my memorabilia. And at this point, I'm kind of thinking about the title on the pocket. That's not where it ends up going. I use usually some type of two-sided tape. This happens to be Creative Memories, which I don't know whether they are still doing this tape or not since they've changed their line. But and in fact, I don't even know if they're still around, but at one point they had restructured. But at any rate, any type of two-sided tape would work. And I need to cut my band down. So I've done that and taped those things on, and I'm going to work on the pocket page a little bit. Selecting some papers from Basic Gray Herbs and Honey for the different sections, and I'm going to add some of that striped paper in strips. I have some of it already cut down from another project. All right, I went ahead and cut down my 4 inches, and then I'm going to use some of that striped paper. I thought I would use some over on the left too to kind of bring the colors together here. And bring a little bit of that red over as well. And I need something to go in that center, and I need to get my title in place. For embellishments, I went to some wood veneer embellishments like I had used on the original 2-page layout in that other video. And I also looked at the chipboard that came with Herbs and Honey. And there are a couple of possibilities here, but most of these are, of course, very garden themed and a lot of fruit and stuff, and that just wasn't really relevant to what we were seeing. So I'm working on the title. And it's going to say more of Atlanta Botanical Gardens because it's just a continuation of the first page. And I also have my journaling printed out there. I never know when my camera runs out of space until it cuts itself off. So I was in the process of putting these letters on when it cut off. So you missed the part about the embellishments, and then I did some of this other stuff off camera anyway. But I wanted to show you what I chose for embellishments. I did look at using some flowers, although flowers are kind of hard to use, I think, with real flower photos. So what I went to was these stickers from Chamel. They're really, really nice. You see how large they are? And one of the things I really like about these cork stickers is that when you take them out of the package, they stay on the backing. They don't go everywhere. I've even taken this one on and off 2 or 3 times now, and it's sticking back on the packaging. And I think that's just marvelous. So I think these were a really good buy. It's the only thing I've gotten from the Chamel collection so far, but I've been really, really impressed with those. I used the Enjoy one here. Actually, it needs a little more glue and a little centering there that I didn't do a while ago. So we'll put that in the middle where it belongs. I also used Lovely over here and the camera, and I did a little bit of debating about what to put down here, but I decided to go with this sort of triangle kind of look. And then I added a couple of I added one other sticker here, and on the back side I did several stickers. These were from October Afternoon, and they were just something else that I pulled out that kind of went with what was going on. One of the designs they had in that Imaginary Worlds was a strawberry, so I thought that kind of went with what we're going on. And there's a little story that I forgot to put in the journaling that I'm probably going to type up and put in this block here. So I have plenty of photos, and I have places for my memorabilia in this pocket, and I can put more things in there if I wanted to record any other memories, and you can see the stenciling. So I have now all the pages, just the back side of the 2-page layout, continuing over to this. There's really 5 pages from this, but we had a lot of photos, took even more than what I have here. But I just wanted to go ahead and use them because it was also so beautiful, and if I don't print them out, they're probably not going to get looked at again. So anyway, thank you for joining me today. I hope you'll check out my blog and the link to the stencil class, where we use stencils in all kinds of creative ways with lots of different mediums. It's a lot of fun. It doesn't take a big investment to get started with stencils. They're relatively inexpensive, and they're really a lot of fun to work with. Thanks for watching.